Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where everything is moving fast. Every moment, there's someone telling us what we should do, how we should think, and who we should be. It feels like we are constantly being pulled in 100 different directions, trying to live up to expectations that may not even be our own. But what if the secret to a happy and fulfilled life isn't about meeting others' expectations? What if it's about listening to yourself? About realizing that the most important person to think about in your life is you? Why it's essential to think about yourself and the impact it has on your well-being. When we start talking about thinking about yourself, a lot of people might assume it means being selfish, but that's far from the truth. The idea of thinking about yourself is not about putting yourself above others in a hurtful way, but rather giving yourself the attention and care you deserve. It's about understanding that your well-being matters and that it's okay to take time for yourself without feeling guilty or selfish. In a world that constantly demands more of us, it's easy to forget about our own needs. We live in a culture that praises busyness, that celebrates being constantly on the go, and that tells us that success means sacrificing everything, even our mental and emotional health. But what happens when we follow that narrative? We burn out. We become overwhelmed. We begin to feel disconnected from ourselves. That's why it's crucial to think about yourself. When you put yourself first, you give yourself the opportunity to recharge. You allow your mind and body the rest they need. It's like when you're on an airplane and the safety instructions tell you to put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. If you don't take care of yourself first, you won't be able to help anyone else. It's the same in life. If you're not taking care of your own mental and physical health, you won't have the energy, strength, or clarity to help others around you. Thinking about yourself also means taking a step back to reflect on your emotions. How often do we check in with ourselves and ask, how am I really feeling today? How often do we listen to our bodies when they say they need rest, or when our minds say they need a break? Too often we ignore these signs because we feel the pressure to keep going. But by doing so, we're only prolonging the inevitable burnout. It's not just about rest. It's also about nourishing your soul. What brings you joy? What makes you feel alive? These are important questions that we often don't take the time to ask ourselves because we're too busy worrying about everything and everyone else. Taking time to nurture yourself, whether it's through a hobby, a passion, or simply taking a quiet moment to reflect, helps you reconnect with your inner self. When you think about yourself, you begin to prioritize your needs and desires. It's not about being self-centered or ignoring others, but about ensuring that you are in a good place mentally, emotionally, and physically. When you care for yourself, you build the foundation for everything else in your life to thrive. Thinking about yourself enables you to set boundaries. It gives you the strength to say no when you need to. Setting boundaries is a form of self-respect, and it's a necessary practice to preserve your energy. When you set clear boundaries, you protect your time, your peace, and your well-being. And when you respect your own boundaries, others will begin to do the same. Thinking about yourself allows you to take control of your life. It gives you the space to reflect, recharge, and realign with your purpose. It's a simple act of self-love, and it's the foundation for living a fulfilled life. So remember, you are worthy of love, care, and attention. Prioritize yourself, because when you do, everything else falls into place. Self-care and self-love are often misunderstood. In our society, the idea of taking time for yourself is sometimes seen as selfishness, a concept that can cause guilt. However, the truth is that self-care is an essential part of being able to give to others. It is about maintaining your own health, happiness, and well-being so that you can fully show up in the world for the people and causes that matter most to you. When we prioritize ourselves, we are not rejecting others. Instead, we are ensuring that we have the strength and resources to care for others in the most meaningful way. There is a big difference between being selfish and taking care of yourself. Being selfish means acting solely in your own interest, disregarding the needs and feelings of others. It is about pushing others down to elevate yourself. But self-care is not about putting others last or being indifferent to the world around you. It's about ensuring that you are functioning at your best, so that when you do give to others, you can give from a place of abundance, not depletion. Self-care is an act of responsibility. It's the act of knowing your worth and understanding that your needs are just as important as the needs of those around you. It's about acknowledging that you have limitations, that you are not invincible, and that you cannot continue to pour from an empty cup. We often feel the need to be everything to everyone, constantly giving, constantly helping, but when we do this, we tend to neglect ourselves. We forget to recharge, to refresh, and to focus on what truly matters for our own well-being. Taking time for yourself is not a luxury, it's a necessity. In fact, it is one of the most important things you can do for yourself. When you take care of yourself, you have the energy, patience, and clarity to take care of everything else in your life. Whether it's getting enough sleep, eating nutritious meals, exercising regularly, or simply taking a moment of quiet to reflect, these actions are crucial for maintaining balance in your life. Without these moments of self-care, we risk becoming overwhelmed, stressed, and ultimately burnt out. The misconception about self-care is that it's something that can only happen in rare moments or on special occasions. However, self-care should be an ongoing practice, something you weave into your daily routine. It doesn't always have to look like long spa days or exotic vacations, although if you're able to do that, great. Self-care can be as simple as taking a few moments in the morning to meditate, writing in a journal to release your thoughts, or setting boundaries with people who drain your energy. It can even mean saying no to things that are not in alignment with your values or goals. Small, consistent acts of self-care can make a huge difference in your overall well-being. It's important to remember that self-care looks different for everyone. What nourishes one person may not work for another, and that's okay. The key is to tune into your own needs, to understand what makes you feel restored and balanced. Self-care can be physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. It may be something as simple as taking a walk in nature, journaling your thoughts, doing yoga, or spending time with loved ones. It can also be about seeking professional help, whether it's through therapy or simply having a conversation with someone who understands you. The idea is to create practices that allow you to connect with yourself and restore your sense of peace and purpose. Another important aspect of self-care is setting boundaries. It's difficult to take care of yourself if you constantly allow others to drain your energy or violate your limits. Boundaries are not about building walls or cutting people off, but about creating healthy spaces where you can protect your mental, emotional, and physical health. Setting boundaries means being clear about your needs and standing firm in those boundaries even when it's difficult. It can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to putting others first. But in the long run, it is the most loving thing you can do for both yourself and others. When you respect your own boundaries, you teach others to respect them as well. In this world where we are often taught to hustle, to give more than we take, it can feel challenging to focus on yourself. But the truth is that when we don't take care of ourselves, we can't show up for the people who matter most. We can't give love, support, or attention if we are not in a healthy, balanced place ourselves. By taking the time to focus on yourself, to give yourself the care and love you deserve, you create the foundation for a life that is not only fulfilling for you, but also beneficial for those around you. When you prioritize your own self-care, you are not being selfish. You are simply ensuring that you have the energy, love, and resources to live your life to the fullest and to give your best to others. It's not a one-time fix, it's a continuous practice, and by making self-care a part of your daily life, you will build a stronger, more resilient version of yourself, ready to face whatever challenges life may bring. Building a life based on your own values and dreams is one of the most liberating and fulfilling things you can do. Yet, in a world that is filled with distractions, pressures, and external expectations, it can be easy to lose sight of what truly matters to you. Many people go through life following the paths laid out by others, whether it's their parents, society, or the general norms, and end up living lives that do not reflect their authentic selves. However, when you take the time to truly understand your values and your dreams, and then align your actions with them, you create a life that is not only fulfilling but also uniquely yours. Your values are the foundation of who you are. They are the principles that guide your decisions, shape your behavior, and influence your relationships. They are the beliefs that you hold dear, the things that matter most to you, and they provide a sense of direction and purpose. However, too often, people fail to identify their values, and as a result, they end up living according to the values of others. This can lead to feelings of frustration, dissatisfaction, and a lack of fulfillment. When you don't live according to your values, you feel disconnected from yourself, as though you are simply going through the motions without a deeper sense of meaning. By identifying your values and consciously making choices that align with them, you bring authenticity and purpose into your life. When your actions are aligned with your values, you experience a sense of integrity. This integrity creates inner peace, because you are living in harmony with who you truly are. Whether it's valuing honesty, creativity, kindness, freedom, or any other principle that resonates with you, living in alignment with your values helps you feel centered, grounded, and fulfilled. It's when you start compromising your values that you begin to feel conflicted and disconnected, as though you are not being true to yourself. In addition to your values, your dreams play a pivotal role in creating a life that is meaningful. Dreams are the aspirations that drive us forward, the visions of what we hope to achieve, and the desires that keep us motivated. However, it is easy to let go of your dreams, or put them on the back burner due to fear, uncertainty, or the pressure to conform to the expectations of others. Many people abandon their dreams because they believe they are too unrealistic, too difficult, or that they are not worth pursuing. But the truth is that your dreams are the essence of who you are, and the vision of the future you are capable of creating. Building a life based on your dreams requires courage. It means stepping out of your comfort zone and taking risks in order to follow what you truly desire. It may involve facing fears, overcoming doubts, and challenging societal expectations. But when you commit to building a life based on your dreams, you unlock your full potential. It allows you to pursue goals that are meaningful, and to live a life that reflects your passions and purpose. Even if your dreams seem distant or unattainable at times, it is the pursuit of them that brings meaning to your life. Every step you take toward your dreams is a step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. It is essential to understand that building a life based on your values and dreams does not mean that you will not face challenges or setbacks. In fact, the journey to living authentically is often filled with obstacles, moments of doubt, and times of uncertainty. However, when your values and dreams are the driving force behind your actions, these challenges become more manageable. You will find the resilience to keep moving forward, because you know that what you are working toward is true to who you are. The difficulties you face become part of the process of growth, helping you develop the strength and wisdom to achieve your goals. Building a life based on your values and dreams also requires patience. It is easy to want instant results, especially in a world that often values speed and immediate gratification. However, living authentically is a journey, not a destination. It takes time to understand your values, to discover what truly matters to you, and to create a path that aligns with your dreams. It is important to give yourself grace during this process, knowing that it is okay to take small steps and that progress is not always linear. Trust that each step you take, no matter how small, is bringing you closer to the life you are meant to create. In addition to patience, building a life based on your values and dreams requires self-discipline. This is where consistency plays a significant role. It's not enough to simply know what you value and dream about. You must take consistent, intentional actions that align with those values and dreams. Self-discipline is about committing to your path, even when it feels difficult or when distractions arise. It is about staying focused and dedicated to your vision, even when the world around you might suggest that you should take another route. Building a life based on your values and dreams means that you are willing to do the work necessary to bring your vision to life, no matter the obstacles. Lastly, living a life that reflects your values and dreams brings a deep sense of fulfillment. When you are living authentically, you feel a sense of peace and joy because you are doing what resonates with your heart. There is no greater satisfaction than knowing that you are living in alignment with your true self, that you are honoring your values and pursuing your dreams with passion and purpose. This fulfillment goes beyond external achievements or material success. It is about the satisfaction that comes from knowing you are living the life you are meant to live. Embracing your uniqueness is one of the most important steps toward living a fulfilled and authentic life. In a world that often pushes us to conform to societal standards or to fit into predefined boxes, it can be difficult to embrace who we truly are. Society tells us what we should look like, how we should behave, and what success should look like. And as a result, many people spend their lives trying to meet these external expectations. But true happiness and self-fulfillment come from embracing your uniqueness, from accepting yourself as you are, and from celebrating the qualities that make you different. When we embrace our uniqueness, we stop comparing ourselves to others. We begin to understand that our individual experiences, talents, and perspectives are what make us special. Comparison is one of the biggest barriers to personal growth because it keeps us focused on what others are doing rather than on our own journey. We may look at others and think they have it all together or that their success is somehow more valid than ours. But the truth is, no one's journey is exactly like yours. Each person's path is shaped by their unique experiences, strengths, and challenges. By embracing your uniqueness, you can let go of the need to compare and start to focus on your own journey, your own growth, and your own accomplishments. Another key aspect of embracing your uniqueness is learning to accept your flaws. We live in a world that often celebrates perfection, whether it's the perfect body, the perfect job, or the perfect family, but perfection is an illusion. Everyone has flaws, everyone has insecurities, and everyone makes mistakes. It is these imperfections that make us human. When we accept our flaws, we free ourselves from the pressure to be perfect. Embracing your uniqueness means accepting yourself with all of your strengths and weaknesses, understanding that both are a part of who you are. It's important to realize that your flaws do not define you. They are simply a part of your story, and they don't diminish your worth. In fact, they often make us more relatable and authentic to others. Embracing our imperfections allows us to be more compassionate toward ourselves and others, and it encourages a culture of authenticity and vulnerability. Embracing your uniqueness also means stepping away from the fear of judgment. It's easy to be afraid of what others think of us, but the fear of judgment can be paralyzing. It can prevent us from pursuing our dreams, from expressing ourselves fully, and from living our truth. When we let go of the fear of judgment and accept that we cannot please everyone, we free ourselves to be who we truly are. We realize that the opinions of others are just that, opinions, and they do not define our worth. By embracing our uniqueness, We stop seeking validation from external sources and start seeking it from within. We trust ourselves, our instincts, and our vision for our lives, knowing that the most important opinion is our own. Living authentically also requires us to let go of societal pressures and expectations. Many people spend their lives trying to meet the expectations of others, whether it's their family, friends, or society at large. But when we focus on living according to someone else's standards, we lose sight of who we are and what we truly want. Embracing your uniqueness means making choices based on what aligns with your values and desires, rather than trying to fit into a mold that others have created for you. It's about listening to your own heart and following your own path, even if it's different from what others expect. Living authentically means making decisions that honor who you are, even if those decisions are not always popular or easy. In addition, embracing your uniqueness can help you build stronger, more meaningful relationships. When you are authentic and true to yourself, you attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are. Authentic relationships are based on mutual respect and understanding, and they allow you to connect with others on a deeper level. When you embrace your uniqueness, you stop pretending to be someone you're not, and you begin to surround yourself with people who accept and support you for who you are. This creates a positive, nurturing environment where both you and those around you can thrive. Embracing your uniqueness is key to discovering your purpose and passions. Many people spend their lives searching for meaning or purpose, often by looking outside of themselves. But your purpose is already inside you, waiting to be discovered. When you embrace your unique qualities, your talents, and your passions, you begin to uncover the things that truly inspire and fulfill you. Your uniqueness is the key to understanding your purpose, and by embracing it, you open the door to a life that is meaningful, purposeful, and deeply satisfying. Whether it's through your career, your relationships, or your personal projects, embracing your uniqueness allows you to find and follow your true calling. Embracing your uniqueness is an act of self-love. It's about recognizing your worth and valuing yourself for who you are, not for what you do or how others perceive you. It's about giving yourself permission to be authentic, to pursue your passions, and to create a life that reflects your true self. When you embrace your uniqueness, you honor your journey, your experiences, and your individuality. You stop trying to fit into someone else's idea of success, and you start defining success on your own terms. By doing so, you create a life that is truly your own, one that is rich with meaning, fulfillment, and joy. Self-reflection is a powerful tool that allows us to connect with our true selves, understand our emotions, and gain clarity on our desires, needs, and goals. Yet many of us rush through life without taking the time to pause, reflect, and truly listen to what's going on inside. We live in a world that often values productivity and external achievements over inner growth, which can lead us to forget about the most important relationship we have, the one with ourselves. Self-reflection is about stepping back from the noise and distractions of everyday life and taking a moment to check in with ourselves. At its core, self-reflection is about creating space to evaluate our thoughts, actions, and feelings. It is about asking ourselves the difficult questions. What do I truly want from life? How am I feeling emotionally, mentally, and physically? Am I living in alignment with my values? These questions help us understand where we are and where we want to go. Without reflection, we are like ships floating aimlessly in the ocean, subject to the winds of external pressures and influences, with no real sense of direction. Self-reflection provides us with the clarity needed to navigate our lives with purpose and intention. One of the most important aspects of self-reflection is the ability to be honest with ourselves. This means acknowledging both the positive and the negative aspects of our lives without judgment. It is easy to fall into the trap of only focusing on our successes or the things we feel proud of. However, true self-reflection involves taking an honest look at the areas where we struggle, the mistakes we've made, and the parts of ourselves that we may have neglected. It is not about being harsh on ourselves, but about acknowledging our growth areas so we can work towards improving them. Self-reflection also involves being kind to ourselves. We often have a tendency to be our harshest critics, especially when we feel like we are not measuring up to our own or others' expectations. However, self-reflection requires compassion and self-acceptance. It's about understanding that we are human and that mistakes are part of the process. By being gentle with ourselves, we create an environment in which growth can happen. Instead of seeing our flaws as failures, we can view them as opportunities for growth. This shift in perspective allows us to approach life with more grace and patience. Another key element of self-reflection is mindfulness. Mindfulness involves being present in the moment without judgment. It is about observing our thoughts and feelings as they arise, without getting caught up in them. When we practice mindfulness through self-reflection, we are able to observe our emotions without reacting impulsively. This allows us to respond to situations with greater clarity and awareness, rather than being driven by automatic reactions. Mindfulness helps us to become more aware of our inner world, which can guide us toward making better decisions, understanding our triggers, and ultimately living a more peaceful life. Self-reflection is also an ongoing process. It is not something that we do once and then forget about. It is a practice that needs to be integrated into our daily lives. Regular self-reflection allows us to stay connected with our inner selves and continually assess whether we are on the right path. Without this regular check-in, it's easy to get swept up in the busyness of life and lose sight of our true desires and goals. By making self-reflection a part of our daily routine, we ensure that we are living intentionally and not just reacting to life's circumstances. Journaling is one of the most effective tools for self-reflection. Writing down our thoughts, feelings, and experiences helps us process and make sense of them. It provides a safe space to explore our emotions and gain insight into our patterns of thinking and behavior. Journaling also allows us to track our growth over time, helping us see how far we've come and where we still have room to improve. It is a simple yet powerful way to stay connected with our inner world. Additionally, self-reflection enables us to align our actions with our values. When we reflect on our lives, we begin to notice where our actions may not be in alignment with what we truly care about. This is an opportunity to course correct and make intentional changes that bring us closer to the life we want to create. Whether it's adjusting our priorities, changing our habits, or setting new goals, self-reflection provides the clarity needed to make decisions that are in alignment with our authentic selves. Another important benefit of self-reflection is emotional growth. By reflecting on our experiences and emotions, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves. We begin to recognize patterns in our emotional responses, allowing us to manage our emotions in healthier ways. Self-reflection helps us identify unresolved issues, past traumas, or limiting beliefs that may be holding us back. It provides the space to heal and move forward, ultimately leading to greater emotional resilience. In a world that is constantly pushing us to achieve and do more, self-reflection is a way to pause and reconnect with what truly matters. It is a practice that allows us to slow down, listen to ourselves, and find the direction we need to live a fulfilling and intentional life. Through self-reflection, we become more self-aware, more compassionate, and more in tune with our true needs and desires. It is a powerful tool for personal growth and transformation, enabling us to live a life that is authentic and aligned with our deepest values. Setting boundaries is one of the most important aspects of prioritizing your well-being, yet it is also one of the most challenging. For many, the idea of setting boundaries feels uncomfortable. There's a fear of disappointing others, of being seen as selfish, or even of causing conflict. However, what most people don't realize is that boundaries are not about rejecting others. They are about protecting your own energy, mental health, and personal space. Boundaries are the foundation upon which we build healthy relationships, maintain our own well-being, and navigate the complexities of our busy lives. Without them, we risk becoming overwhelmed, resentful, and exhausted. The first step to setting boundaries is recognizing that they are necessary. When we are constantly giving without considering our own needs, we eventually find ourselves drained. This happens because over time, we give too much of ourselves to others, often to the point where we feel like we have nothing left to offer. By establishing boundaries, we create a healthy limit for how much we can give, ensuring that we do not sacrifice our own well-being in the process. Boundaries are essentially a form of self-respect. When you set boundaries, you are saying that your needs matter. You are acknowledging that you have the right to protect your time, energy, and emotions. The next challenge is understanding that boundaries are not just physical but emotional and mental as well. Many people focus solely on physical boundaries, such as needing time alone or having personal space, but emotional and mental boundaries are just as important. Emotional boundaries involve understanding your emotional capacity and recognizing when you are being drained by others' needs or behaviors. It is crucial to know when to step back from emotionally intense situations or people who drain your energy. Mental boundaries involve protecting your mind from negative influences, toxic people, or situations that cause unnecessary stress or anxiety. These mental boundaries are essential for maintaining peace of mind and clarity in your own thoughts. Setting clear boundaries is not always easy, especially if you've been accustomed to always putting others first. It requires self-awareness and self-compassion. For many, the fear of disappointing others can feel overwhelming. It's important to remember that setting boundaries does not mean that you don't care about the people around you. In fact, setting boundaries shows that you respect yourself and the relationships you have with others. It allows you to show up as your best self because you are not constantly running on empty. It's also essential to understand that boundaries are flexible. Sometimes you may need to adjust them based on circumstances or the needs of those around you, but this should always be done with your own well-being in mind. If you find that you are constantly feeling overwhelmed, it may be time to reassess your boundaries. It's a process that requires ongoing self-reflection and adjustment. Just as life changes, so too will your needs, and it's important to remain open to re-evaluating your boundaries as needed. In addition to protecting your well-being, boundaries also help build stronger, healthier relationships. When you set boundaries with others, you are teaching them how to treat you. Healthy boundaries prevent resentment from building up because they ensure that you are not overextending yourself. In relationships, whether personal or professional, it is crucial to have mutual respect for each other's boundaries. When you respect others' boundaries and communicate your own, it leads to a more harmonious dynamic where both parties feel valued and heard. Setting boundaries also involves learning how to say no without guilt. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools for maintaining your mental health and energy. It may feel difficult at first, especially if you are someone who tends to say yes out of obligation or fear of disappointing others. However, learning to say no is an essential part of self-care. It means that you are choosing to protect your own needs and emotions, even if it means letting someone down. It's important to remember that saying no is not a reflection of your worth or character. It's a reflection of your respect for your own time and energy. One of the most common reasons people struggle with setting boundaries is because they fear conflict. They worry that others will be upset or that they will be perceived as rude or unhelpful. However, conflict is not necessarily a negative thing. Healthy conflict can lead to deeper understanding and stronger relationships. When you communicate your boundaries clearly and respectfully, you are encouraging an open dialogue that fosters mutual understanding. It's important to approach boundary setting with a mindset of compassion, both for yourself and for others. While boundaries can be difficult to enforce, they ultimately lead to healthier, more balanced relationships and greater personal peace. Setting boundaries is about taking control of your life and your well-being. It's about understanding that you have the right to protect your time, energy, and emotions. It's not about building walls or isolating yourself from others. It's about creating space for yourself to grow, to rest, and to thrive. When you set boundaries, you create a foundation for a healthier, more fulfilling life. The connection between self-love and being able to help others is often misunderstood. Many people believe that in order to be helpful or supportive to others, they must first put others' needs before their own. While it is undoubtedly noble to care for others, the truth is that without practicing self-love, we are not truly able to help in a sustainable or meaningful way. Self-love is the foundation of all healthy relationships, both with ourselves and with others. When we care for ourselves, we are in a stronger position to give to those around us because we are coming from a place of abundance rather than depletion. Self-love is about understanding and accepting yourself fully, your strengths, your weaknesses, your quirks, and your flaws. It's about taking the time to nurture your own needs, to respect your own boundaries, and to give yourself permission to be human. When we practice self-love, we build resilience, confidence, and mental clarity, which are essential when it comes to helping others. It is only by embracing our own worth and prioritizing our own well-being that we can show up in the lives of others in the most meaningful way. When we put ourselves first, it is not out of selfishness, but rather out of self-respect. We cannot pour from an empty cup. If we are constantly giving, helping, and sacrificing without taking the time to replenish ourselves, we risk burning out. We may end up feeling resentful, overwhelmed, or disconnected from our true selves. Self-love ensures that we are in a healthy and balanced state, both physically and emotionally. When we take care of our own needs, we are able to give from a place of love and authenticity, without expectation or resentment. We have the energy and capacity to help others in ways that are genuinely supportive and empowering. Moreover, self-love helps us to set healthy boundaries, which are essential for any meaningful relationship. Setting boundaries is not about keeping others out, but about creating the space we need to nurture ourselves. When we set boundaries, we respect both our own needs and the needs of others. We learn to say no when something doesn't align with our well-being, and we protect our time, energy, and emotional health. By setting these boundaries, we not only show love to ourselves, but also show others how to respect us and our limits. This creates a dynamic of mutual respect, which is the foundation of any healthy, supportive relationship. Another key aspect of the connection between self-love and helping others is the ability to be compassionate and empathetic. When we practice self-love, we become more attuned to our own emotions and experiences. We learn to be kind and patient with ourselves, especially during difficult times. This self-compassion spills over into our interactions with others, enabling us to be more understanding and supportive. When we are at peace with ourselves, we can offer a listening ear, a comforting word, or a helping hand without judgment. We recognize that others, just like us, are doing their best and may need support in their own journey. Self-love also encourages us to engage in self-reflection and growth. By taking the time to reflect on our own lives, our choices, and our actions, we gain greater self-awareness. This awareness allows us to understand our own strengths and areas for improvement, and it helps us approach our relationships with greater humility and understanding. The more we learn to love ourselves, the more we grow emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. As we evolve and heal, we are better equipped to guide and support others on their own journeys. Our experiences and growth allow us to offer wisdom, encouragement, and insight to those who may need it. In addition, self-love gives us the confidence to offer genuine, unconditional support to others. When we love ourselves, we are secure in who we are, which enables us to offer support to others without feeling threatened or insecure. We are not dependent on others for validation or approval. Instead, we are able to give freely, knowing that our worth does not depend on what others think of us. This kind of self-assurance allows us to be present for others in a way that is both compassionate and empowering, without any need for recognition or praise. It's about helping others because we genuinely care and want to see them thrive, not because we are seeking something in return. Lastly, practicing self-love makes us better at taking care of others, because it helps us understand the importance of self-care. When we love ourselves, we recognize that taking care of our own well-being is essential to being able to help others. Self-love encourages us to prioritize rest, nourishment, and emotional well-being, which allows us to be present, attentive, and fully engaged when we are supporting others. We can offer help and care without feeling drained or resentful, because we know the value of maintaining our own health and happiness. By loving ourselves first, we are able to show up for others in a way that is both fulfilling and sustainable. In the end, the connection between self-love and being able to help others is a cyclical process. The more we love ourselves, the more we are able to give to others in ways that are authentic, genuine, and empowering. Self-love isn't about being self-centered. It's about recognizing that when we take care of ourselves, we become the best version of ourselves, and that's when we are truly able to help others in meaningful ways. When we talk about prioritizing our own needs, one of the most difficult concepts for many people to grasp is the idea of doing so without feeling guilty. We live in a world where we are taught from a young age to put others first, to sacrifice for our families, our friends, and our communities. While this is admirable, it can lead to neglecting our own needs, both physically and emotionally. Often we are conditioned to believe that caring for ourselves is selfish, but in reality it is an essential part of maintaining balance and well-being in our lives. The idea of guilt-free self-prioritization is something that many people struggle with. We often feel like we should be constantly available for others, answering their calls, helping with their problems, and giving our time, energy, and resources without hesitation. However, the constant pressure to be everything to everyone can leave us exhausted and depleted. When we give so much of ourselves without considering our own needs, we risk burning out, becoming resentful, and losing touch with our true desires and goals. Taking care of yourself doesn't mean you have to shut others out or stop helping them. It simply means setting boundaries and recognizing that your own well-being is just as important as the needs of those around you. It's about understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you don't take the time to replenish your energy, you will have nothing left to give to anyone else. This is why it's essential to be kind to yourself and to give yourself permission to take a break, to say no, and to prioritize your own needs when necessary. One of the key aspects of prioritizing your own needs without guilt is learning how to set clear boundaries. Boundaries are not about being selfish. They are about protecting your time and energy so that you can continue to function at your best. When you set boundaries, you are teaching others how to treat you, and you are creating the space you need to focus on yourself. Boundaries can look different for everyone depending on your life circumstances, but they are all about recognizing your limits and honoring them. Setting boundaries is a skill that takes time to develop, especially if you are used to constantly saying yes to others. It's important to recognize that setting boundaries is a form of self-respect. It's about acknowledging that you have limits, and it's okay to say no when something doesn't align with your needs or values. This doesn't mean you are rejecting others. It simply means that you are choosing to prioritize your own well-being in a healthy, balanced way. Another important aspect of prioritizing yourself is learning to listen to your own needs. We are often so focused on taking care of others that we forget to check in with ourselves. How are we feeling? What do we need to feel fulfilled, happy, and at peace? By regularly checking in with ourselves and asking these questions, we can begin to understand what truly nourishes us. Whether it's taking time for rest, engaging in a hobby, or spending time with people who uplift us, recognizing what we need is key to creating a balanced and fulfilling life. Sometimes, guilt can arise when we take time for ourselves, because we feel like we are letting others down. This is a common feeling, but it's important to remember that taking care of yourself isn't about neglecting others. When you give yourself the time and space to recharge, you are better able to help others when they need you. It's like the oxygen mask analogy. When you are properly taken care of, you can be there for others in a more meaningful way. It's also crucial to recognize that everyone's needs and boundaries are different. What works for one person may not work for another, and that's okay. Self-prioritization looks different for everyone, and it's important to find what works for you. Whether it's making time for self-care activities, setting aside time for reflection, or simply taking a step back from stressful situations, the key is to make self-care a priority in your life. By prioritizing yourself without guilt, you are not only improving your own well-being but also setting an example for others. When you model healthy self-care practices and show others that it's okay to take time for themselves, you are creating a culture of self-respect and mutual support. You are showing those around you that it's okay to put your own needs first, and that by doing so you are not being selfish, but rather you are creating a life that is balanced, fulfilling, and sustainable. Learning to prioritize yourself without guilt is an act of self-love. It is a reminder that you are worthy of care, attention, and rest, just as much as anyone else. By giving yourself permission to take care of yourself, you create a life that is not only healthier but also more meaningful. You can give to others more fully when you first give to yourself. And in doing so you create a more positive and balanced life for everyone around you.